Put the agenda up. Can everybody see the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, then we are good to go.
Good evening, my wonderful committee. So commission, I should say. This is Thursday, June 12th, 2025. Pursuant to the chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, this meeting of the Traffic Commission will be conducted via remote participation. We will post an audio recording, audio video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive recordings of these proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting on the City of Somerville's website. Right, can I see if we have a quorum, please?
Yes, Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Reimel,
Yes, here.
Assistant Chief Tierney,
Yes.
and that's 4 present. So we have a quorum, and I'll note the counselor is absent. And then if she joins, we'll mark her as present.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Alrighty, meeting ground rules. Listen to the other side, focus on issues, not personalities, avoid questioning motives, and let's be polite. Item number 1, acceptance of the minutes from the minutes of the May 28th, 2025 Traffic Commission meeting. Can I get a motion to accept or reject item number 1, please?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Yeah, can I get a second?
Second.
Wonderful. Can I get a roll call vote to accept item number 1?
Yes, and for the purposes of attendance, I will note that the counselor has arrived. Welcome, counselor. Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Reimel,
Yes.
Assistant Chief Tierney,
Yes.
Counselor Said,
Yes.
and that's 5 yes, and the motion carries.
Wonderful. Item number 2, request for accessible parking spaces at the following locations. A, 44-6 Medford Street, B, 51 Preston Street. Who is here to discuss this item?
Through the chair, Adrian Pomeroy, ADA coordinator.
Great.
I have received via the traffic and parking department 2 applications for accessible parking spaces at these locations. I have reviewed the spaces and application and recommend both for approval.
Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, can I get a motion to accept or reject item number 2, please?
I'll make a motion to accept.
And can I get a second?
I second.
I'll second.
Said? Great, Can I get a
Forward that to
roll
the
call?
counselor. Just, I think I heard all 3 at once, but
Okay.
I'm, for the record, awarded to the counselor.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, can I get a roll call vote to accept item number 2, please?
Yes, Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Counselor Said,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Reimel, Lieutenant Reimel. He may be frozen. So I'll skip to Assistant Chief Tierney,
Yes.
and I'm gonna call that 4 yes and
Yep.
1 oh, okay. Lieutenant
Yes.
Reimel?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, okay,
Yep.
that's 5 yes.
Okay.
And the motion carries.
Wonderful. Item number 3, Accessibility Mobility Hub. Regarding the curb on the west side of Grand Union Boulevard, opposite 44 Grand Union Boulevard. From approximately 60 feet north of 40th Street to approximately 100 feet north of 40th Street. Request to convert the metered parking regulation to no parking at any time. B is to request to waive the advertisement period for this regulation change. Here to discuss this item.
There is someone in the, okay, they should now, Mark, be able to unmute.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, and apologize for the name. My name is Mark Chase. My partner Lee was using a Zoom meeting before me and apparently is logged in, but I'm Mark Chase with NeighborWays. And Jackie, I don't know if you can bring up the presentation that I sent, that would be great. Okay, great. I'm working with Assembly Connect, which is a group of businesses in Assembly Square to create what is called a mobility hub. And a mobility hub is basically trying to bring as many options as you can in one place for people to get around. And so as part of this, we're building a bus stop extension that's a modular kind of a Lego-like piece that goes in the street that makes it easier for people to get on and off the bus. And we'll be using a couple parking spaces to do that. We've been working with Brad Rawson and the mobility team around the design of this. This picture just shows what the site will look like if you were walking down the sidewalk on Foley Street. And if you go to the next picture, another perspective looking from Grand Union
Yes.
Boulevard. If you go to the next slide, there's a picture of the current parking, which shows the crosswalk kind of coming north to south, and to the left, the sidewalk and 2 parking spaces. And if you go to the next slide, you can see the bus platform that we're going to be building that will basically allow bikes to cross over where they currently would want to bike, and then people will walk out to the platform to catch the bus. And this makes it much more convenient for them to get on and off the bus without the bus pulling out of traffic. So it works very well for places that don't have a lot of passengers boarding, and this is a good candidate for it, where people can get on and off the bus without the bus pulling over. And so that's why we're taking a couple parking spots here, and we'll be building this platform. It's the first of its kind in Somerville, but they're all over the United States and quite a few in Everett and other places in the Boston area. So here's just dimensional pieces of the kit that we're going to be putting together. Yeah, so if you want to go back to the last slide, that's our request. Take a couple parking spaces to put in the bus platform.
Do we have discussions on this item? My question will be, why are we waiting? What's the need to waive the advertisement period? That's my question.
Well, it's just, when people are waiting for the bus, it can either be a curbside space where the bus pulls over, or it could be a space that's actually up near where the street is. So this is basically getting the bus riders closer to the street for boarding so that the bus doesn't have to pull out of traffic. I don't know if that.
Oh, yeah. Chair, your mic cut out a little bit, but I think I can offer some clarification on your question. I had advised, so Mark had shared that they were aiming to implement this the week of June 23rd. And so I had shared as a point of clarification that there is a legal advertisement period associated with our traffic commission regulations. And so there wouldn't be enough time for the legal advertisement period if they were aiming to implement June 23rd. So in order to implement June 23rd or the week of, they would need approval to waive the advertisement period.
So if that advertising period was not waived, when's soon as they can implement this?
I think the end of July, also just because we would have to put we would be caught in the middle of 2 fiscal years. So for June's ads, I just can't start running them until the first week of July, just because I can't cross over fiscal years. So it would be probably the 3rd week of July would be the effective, or actually the 4th week of July would be the effective date.
And what's the delay in this proposal getting for the commission?
I'm sorry, is that to me? I think that question for me, Jackie.
Yes.
Essentially, we didn't have approval to fund this until about 4 weeks ago, and then we weren't sure we were going to be able to get it shipped from Spain in time to make it work. It's a grant through the Mass Department of Transportation that is contingent on being spent this fiscal year, which ends June 30th. So it's a sizable amount of money. It's $75,000. And so we're, trying to take advantage of the grant to build this before the end of the fiscal year.
Questions from the committee?
Does the item have to be built before the end of the fiscal year, or does the item have to be received by the end of the fiscal year?
It has to be built by the end of the fiscal year. Yeah, it's a kind of a complete project where they're funding the building and the kit itself.
Are you eliminating the bus stop? Is that correct?
No, it's the bus stop is moving from about a half a block down to the right to this location. So the bus stop will basically be closer to the corner of Foley instead of mid-block between Foley and I forget the name of the street that Home Depot is on, the next one south.
Question, through you, Chair Lathan. So are 2 weeks enough time to build this? Now that there's funding, do you have a contractor or?
We do have a contractor. It's a relatively local Arlington landscaping firm that is going to undertake a training and learn how to do this. And so we're, pushing to get this installed by the end of the month. So that's our goal. And, if we can't install it by the end of the month, we would have to go back to MassDOT to get permission. And they have told us that the money just goes away if we don't spend it. So, if we don't do it by the end of the month. So we're really trying to make that deadline.
Right, thank you for that clarification. I mean, if this is grant, this is fully funded by the grant. Yeah,
That's right.
I'm supporting this, and hopefully everything will, yeah, be done before July 1st.
I have a question. I have my hand up, through you, Jill. Mark, could you make a comparison from like this modular design to what is the permanent build on Holland Street? So you know how like it's basically a floating bus stop, I believe is probably the real term. Is that true?
That's right. It's a floating bus stop.
Okay, so it's a good, I mean, this is an awesome, really cool, quick build intervention, but I just wanted to say that this setup is in Somerville and it's works really well on Holland Street in my experience. So you really do get a benefit from not having, especially on Holland Street where traffic can back up, trying to get a bus to angle in and then angle back out again is bad for drivers. It's bad for bus users. And so this really is just sort of like, it simplifies everything. So I think it's worth, worth doing. And definitely I'm in support of it. It's also, Assembly Square is really kind of an unlivable, at least to me, place. It doesn't feel it feels a little bit more commercial, and like this really makes it seem a little bit more like the rest of Somerville and more, family friendly, and looks like a cool project. So support it. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? All right, can I get a motion to accept or reject item number 3, please?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Can I get a second?
Oh, sorry, Chair, your mic cut out. But the counselor did second the motion.
All right, can I get a roll call vote to accept item number 3, please?
Yes. Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Counselor Said,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Rymel,
Yes.
Assistant Chief Tierney,
Yes,
and that's 5 yes, and the motion carries.
Wonderful. Moving on to, nice to meet you.
Thank you all for your consideration. Have a nice night.
You
Thanks.
too. Item number 4. Bedford Street, clear corners and implementations, A and B. Is this all, just clarification, are these items coming from the same presenter?
Yes.
Who's here to present these items 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8?
Oh, sorry, I meant A and B for number 4 were the same.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, we have 3 different presenters,
Okay,
4, 5, and 6.
okay. Item number 4, the Medford Street clear corners implementation regarding the curb on the east side of Tennyson Street from approximately 20 feet south of Medford Street to approximately 40 feet south of Medford Street. Request to convert 20 feet of resident permanent parking to accessible parking regarding the curb on the west side of Sycamore Street from approximately 22 feet north of Medford Street to approximately 42 feet north of Medford Street. Request to convert 20 feet of resident permanent parking to meter parking. Who is here to discuss this item?
Through the chair, Isabella Maya, Engineering Division. Jackie, can you, oh, okay, there you go. Good evening, everyone. I'm here to present 2 items for the clear corners along Bedford Street. If you can go to the next slide, I'd just like to give a quick overview respecting the long agenda that we have. For those that are not familiar with the project yet, we have been implementing clear corners, also known as daylighting markings, to increase the visibility of the intersections by restricting parking from 20 to 30 feet away from a crosswalk. Local, state, and federal laws already prohibited parking ahead of a crosswalk or intersection, so we're just bringing the city of Somerville into compliance. This image that we have here is a great example on how it looks like when vehicles are parked near a crosswalk in the visibility of pedestrians. You can go to the next slide. We have been prioritizing these streets with higher crash rates, and we have implemented markings on Broadway, Washington Street, Powderhouse Boulevard, and also incorporating those markings on new projects that include the reconstruction of complete streets. This year, we are implementing the markings on Summer Street from Cutter Ave to Belmont Street and Medford Street from Port Ridge Ave to Highland Ave. My 2 items here for Medford Street only. I can go to the next slide, please. My first item is the relocation of accessible spot on Tennyson Street and Medford Street. The current accessible parking space is located within the 20 feet of a crosswalk where the markings are going to be proposed. And we are requesting the permission to shift the existing space adjacent to the new markings and into the parking by permit only area. And my second and final item is the relocation of the meter on Medford Street. The first meter located on Medford Street at Sycamore Street is also within the 20-foot no parking zone. And after speaking with the businesses in the area, they indicated that adding a meter to account for the removal would be beneficial to them. After talking to parking and mobility and to support the businesses in the area, we are requesting the addition of 1 meter on Sycamore Street that would also be within the parking by permit area.
Any discussion on this item? Yes, Tina.
I just have a quick question, through you, the chair. Can you go back to the first relocation? I just noticed that there's some like posts and trees. Is the accessible parking spot going to be like behind those so that there's no issues with like loading and
That's right.
unloading? Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Hearing none, can I get a motion to either accept or reject item number 4, please?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Great. Lieutenant Rymel, second.
Second that motion?
All right, can I get a roll call vote to accept item number 4, please?
Yes. Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Counselor Said,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Raimel,
That's a yes.
Assistant Chief Tierney,
Yes.
and that's 5 yes, and the motion carries.
Wonderful. Moving on to item number 5. Central Hill Curbside Management Pilot Extension Request. Request to extend the Central Hill Curbside Management Pilot originally approved at the November 18th, 2021 Traffic Commission meeting until June 30th, 2026. Who is here to discuss this item?
Through the chair, Greg Hannafin, Transportation Planner. And I have some slides to share as well. Jack, you can pull them up if you've already got them. Thank you. So this slide repeats the request that was just read to extend our Central Hill Curbside Management Pilot until June 30th, 2026. And this is a pilot that we have been evaluating on an annual basis, and most recently in June 2024, the Traffic Commission extended the pilot until June 30th, so the end of this month. Some brief background on the pilot. So when the new Somerville High School and Central Hill campus was reconstructed, majority of the on-site parking was replaced with public open space and recreation space. So to mitigate the loss of that on-site parking, primarily for high school staff, the city implemented the Central Hill parking pilot, which included some blocks of city hall and school permit parking only between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. on school days. So that is between September and June. And this included some on-street parking on Highland Ave, School Street, and Walnut Street. The objectives of this pilot, when it was initially implemented, were to respond to the concerns that curb management around Central Hill had become unpredictable and unpleasant for all users. It was to determine whether parking conflicts could be reduced by providing this time-limited priority parking, and to collect data on the changing curb use patterns in the area and observe that over time. So I'll now discuss the data collection and analysis that we've done for the pilot. On 5 occasions between 2022 and 2024, mobility division staff have conducted morning parking inventories within the pilot zone, as well as on-street parking on surrounding streets. And the map on the right shows in the dashed lines the extent of our study area. What we have found through this study is that the pilot regulations are being utilized as intended. The utilization of the pilot parking spaces has peaked between 87 to 94% of capacity. So the vast majority of those spaces are being utilized by those who are intended to use them. And we also have found that resident parking has been available overnight. The counts that we've done before 7 a.m., the highest resident parking utilization observed was 82%. So roughly 20% or greater of resident parking in this area is still available. And the reason that we looked at that is one of the concerns with the reallocation of the 2-hour resident spaces to the pilot spaces was that there wouldn't be enough parking for the residents in this area. And we have found thus far that that hasn't been the case. And that parking has been available on all of the streets that we've observed in the study area. This is just some additional details on the data that we have collected. This table is showing the utilization of spaces that are designated for school staff. So that includes the school-only parking on the Central Hill Concourse, the Homans lot on Medford Street, as well as the 7 to 9 a.m. pilot spaces. And what we find is that utilization of these spaces is generally low before 7 a.m., before the pilot period begins. And then between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m., the utilization increases, again, peaking just before the end of the pilot period at 9 a.m. This is the same time frame for the parking available for residents, which includes resident permit parking only, as well as 2-hour parking except by permit. The 6:30 to 7 a.m. Collection period is what I described previously, which represents our overnight period, where we find that between roughly 20 to 30% of the parking in these spaces is available within the study area. And that also goes up slightly as we reach 9 a.m. And that's likely due to staff, both city and school staff, as well as students utilizing those spaces, because staff and students who are Somerville residents can also legally park in spaces around the Central Hill campus. We have taken some efforts over the last few years to try to reduce the parking demand for those traveling to Central Hill. We have a free transit pass program for both city and school staff, as well as the high school students, to try to encourage students and staff to travel to the area by modes other than motor vehicles. We also have a free bike share membership for all city and school staff as well. And we have stations located right by City Hall and the high school. Our plan is to continue to study the area and do annual evaluations. The reason that up to this point we have continued to treat this on an annual basis is that it's possible in the coming years that the curb regulations around Central Hill are going to change. Particularly Highland Ave and School Street are both designated for protected bicycle lanes by 2030 as part of the priority network of the city's bicycle network plan. And both of those streets do have Central Hill pilot parking spaces on them. So in anticipation of possible changes, we want to continue to evaluate this pilot before we give it a permanent designation. Thank you.
Any discussions on this item? I gotta be honest, I'm concerned about the continuations of the pilot. So at this point, since 2021, you said? 22?
When it was initially approved,
Yeah,
yes.
that's not, at this point, a pilot. It's like, at what point are we making any, long-term determinations? So that's kind of my only feedback on this. So,
Yeah, so I think that at this point, we feel like the pilot is working. And if things were not to change in this area, we think that it would be a good consideration to make this permanent, because particularly because of the bicycle network plan and possible changes to Highland Ave and School Street in the coming years. We want to continue to study the area and make sure that the regulations that are in place right now are working, even if there are changes.
discussion from the committee?
I have a question through you, Chair Lathan. So I understand this, just making sure I understand this. So this is a pilot and it's been going on. So since my term started, we have approved this once. So this is the second time. So it's been going on since the high school opened, the new one.
Correct.
Okay. So, you've mentioned why we are going with just renewing this like pilot every year as opposed to making it permanent because of the changes that will happen eventually on Highland. Now I am not personally, I'm not concerned about just renewing it because we have studies and it's working, and actually not renewing it would be a disaster because then where will all those staff members, since the new high school does not have parking, where will they go? But I'm more concerned about when once the changes are implemented on Highland Ave, uh, uh, are we making sure as we're, working on that project that school staff and city staff have enough parking? Because that's the biggest concern there. I was still a teacher when those conversations were happening about, okay, now we don't have parking, underground parking in the high school. I know the city is offering all these different incentives so that folks don't drive, but also the reality is that a lot of educators cannot live in Somerville, cannot rent in Somerville, so they have to drive to work. So it's not really related. I guess my concern is not really related to what we are approving tonight, but more bringing this up to the mobility department as a concern is if we're taking away a lot of parking on Highland for good reasons, I will say. Do we have a plan for where all those cars will go?
Yeah, it's a good question. At this time, there isn't an active project on Highland Ave, but certainly when that time comes, that will be a part of the conversation. And yeah, it's definitely on our radar that needs to be a part of any Highland Ave project, is thinking about the existing curb regulations and what will be best for this area after a potential Highland Ave project. So yes, definitely.
So it's something that you are looking into as a department as you're putting together the Highland Ave project. I'm not sure if like anything is like, I imagine nothing is finalized for that project. Like, there was just the approval for the changes, but it will be a lot of there will be community process. In terms
Yeah,
of
there's no active project on Highland Ave. So we haven't started a design or community engagement process for Highland Ave, but it certainly will be a part of that when there is a project.
Okay, thank you.
Discussion on the committee? So am I correct in that maybe assuming that this will be another item next year to continue a pilot?
I think that we've been evaluating it on an annual basis, and if between now and the expiration of well, we will have to come back before the pilot expires next year. And I think that based on this time next year, what the outlook is for Highland Ave and School Street, we could elect to seek a 1-year renewal of the pilot, or if conditions have changed, that could impact what our request is.
Okay. Can I get a motion to accept or reject item number 5, please?
Motion to accept.
Get a second.
Second from Lena.
Great.
I couldn't unmute.
Can I get a roll call vote to accept item number 5, please?
Yes, Chair Lathan,
No.
Counselor Said,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Rymel,
Yes.
Assistant Chief Tierney,
Yes.
and that's 4 yes, 1 no, and the motion carries.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Greg.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 6, Bow Street and Walnut Street, A, B, C, D, and E. Who is here to present this item?
Through the chair, that would be me.
Wonderful. Hi, Adam.
How's it going? Good
Great.
evening, esteemed members of the City of Somerville Traffic Commission. I am here to talk to you all tonight and make a few requests related to a few intersection improvement projects that the Mobility Division has been leading alongside a few other key departments and with community input over the last, gosh, I think these became ideas about 18 or 24 months ago. And so we're finally coming to you all sort of right as the plans are getting finalized to seek approval for items 6, 7, and 8 and each of the associated sub items related to 3 intersections, in a couple cases, maybe more like blocks throughout the city of Somerville. These projects are all associated with an intersection program that the city has been spinning up over the last few years. Oftentimes we focus more on corridors, right, and redoing larger sections of street, but have been trying to give a little bit more focus to smaller areas, particularly with an emphasis on pedestrian safety. You know, a lot of the times people biking or people driving those become the focus of the conversation. And this was intended to be a little bit more explicitly directed towards pedestrian safety. So that's sort of the genesis of these 3 projects. And so I'll go through with all of you sort of what are the main takeaways from each and what are the impacts to curb regulations that we are requesting to make these projects happen.
And just as a point of clarification, before we start moving through these items, I think Adam is the presenter for 6, 7, and 8. Are you going to run through your presentation and just go one item at a time? Chair, that's your preference, or to do it all as one shot? Sorry, Chair, you're on mute.
Yes, I prefer on this one item at a time, so we'll do item 6, and then we'll do a vote. Item 7, we'll do a vote, and then item 8, we'll do a vote. Thank you for clarifying.
Great. Okay, so through the chair, we'll start with Bo at Walnut, item number 6. This is a quick overview of what we have planned for this intersection. So Bow Street is going left to right on the page here, and Walnut Street is up at the top there, facing page up. The sort of highlight is what you can see where this project started was with the pink and purple colors. Really, we wanted to create a new crossing opportunities across Bow Street. There's currently no crosswalks there today, and it's actually a pretty big intersection. So our goal was to add crosswalks across Bow Street on each leg of the Walnut Street intersection, and close a gap in our pedestrian network. We typically don't just throw in curb ramps and put down new crosswalks. We often we believe and are often told from our community members as well that they don't believe that just throwing some paint down is much of an improvement and makes it feel much safer. So we tend to go above and beyond and really emphasize that with those new crosswalks that pedestrians have priority. Therefore, we are proposing and have been working to design a raised intersection, the limits of which are shown in the pink and purple color there, to really emphasize that pedestrians have the right of way in this area and to make sure that vehicles are slowing down appropriately. That is also going to be accompanied by some curb extensions shown in yellow. So the existing, anything beyond sort of pulled in from the existing curb line is shown in yellow there on all 3 corners of the intersection to really shorten up crossing distances, make pedestrians more visible, and to again sort of further emphasize that vehicles need to slow down making this turn. Now, as Assistant Chief Tierney is well aware with this one. We've gone back and forth a lot on this. There's always a balancing act between making sure that general purpose traffic is going slow, but that fire apparatus can still get through. So you can see in the red there, that one of the things we're doing to make sure that this still works for them is to have an extended no parking zone a little bit beyond where we would typically restrict parking to make sure that their trucks can continue to get through, and adding some flex posts there to discourage people from parking in those areas. We'll also be doing a couple of other supplemental things here, such as adding new benches and bike racks shown in green. The bike racks are the little two circles connected by a line there, and then the benches are the darker solid black rectangles. And then last but not least, we will also be maintaining, there are currently 2 accessible parking spaces in this area. We will be maintaining both. We are shifting the location of one, which you'll see in a minute. But we are also trying to not just have signage, but upgrade the actual accessibility of those spaces and provide ramps where possible, and as much buffer space as possible to give the ability for anyone using that space to maneuver to whatever works best for their needs, whether it's, passenger side, loading and unloading, rear side, driver side, and being able to access the sidewalk without having to worry about getting up, without having to cross a curb. So that is something that we were pretty happy to be able to incorporate into this design, even though it is a little bit more safety focused. We're looking to make some pretty big accessibility improvements as well. So in terms of what that means for you all and the impact to our curb regulations, here is a quick snapshot of the existing curb regulations. You can see there are a lot of different regulations currently on Bow Street. Down in sort of the bottom right area, there's a big loading zone right now. Beyond that, there's a lot of like 15-minute parking and stuff. We won't be touching that. Note that loading zone is actually a parklet during a lot of months of the year right now, and we are working with Siam Ginger to make sure that as we move into construction, and as we work, as we've decided on what our proposal is for some of these regulations, that they've been in the loop and that it works for them. So they will actually get to put their parklet on the new curb extension in the future design. So there is 50 feet or so loading zone there, but that is actually not used as a loading zone for a good chunk of the year because of the location there, a parklet. There are the 2 accessible spaces, as I noted. There's some metered parking as well. And then there is a handful of 2-hour parking except by permit spaces on Walnut Street. And just to be able for you all to visualize all the language that I've submitted and what our actual requests are, everything shown in that pinkish purple color are the requests that we've made and the locations of the curb regulations that will be changing. So on Walnut Street, to make sure that we can make all the turning movements work for fire, for garbage trucks, for other, we're asking to convert about 15 feet, maybe, one short parking space from that 2-hour parking to no parking anytime on either side of Walnut. We are requesting to convert the 2 metered spaces back and angled on the left side of the page there, in front of Hub Comics, to a single accessible parking space, as per the plans that we just reviewed. We're requesting to convert 2 metered spaces on the south side of Bow Street or west side to a 30-foot loading zone, because we are displacing some of that loading on south of Walnut Street. So we want to make sure that there is still loading space available, even as a higher priority than metered parking. And then we are requesting to convert 20 feet of that loading zone on the right side there to no parking anytime, to make sure that we can fit that curb extension in and essentially raise that parklet up to the sidewalk level. You'll also see in a gray color there that there are a few other spaces that are not requests to the Traffic Commission. We're essentially taking those by right because of the 2 new crosswalks. As you all know, through state law, there's no parking is allowed within 20 feet of any crosswalk or intersection, and so those fall into that category, and so we do not need to request the removal of those spaces from the Traffic Commission, but I'm showing there anyways just for transparency and clarity. And then just so you all can see what the final condition is proposed to be as far as curb regulations go. Here is the new curb line shown in red with a lot of the new no parking anytime regulations there, and where we would have the accessible parking spaces, the new loading zone, and then any other regulations that are unchanged will show up on both of those slides. And that is what I have for Bow at Walnut. Here are the actual requests, and all the language associated that sort of encapsulates what I just ran through.
Wonderful, wonderful. Questions from the committee, discussion?
I have some questions, Adam.
Sure.
I know we've looked at this many times, but any plan that I've seen on the west side of Walnut, no parking was extended much further. Why has it been reduced on this plan?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, so on the west side of Walnut Street, the
Yeah.
no parking area was extended much further north than what's shown on this diagram. On everything I have on the west side extends much further than on the east side.
Yeah, so we did take a second look. We asked our consultant to look at the west side there. And if they could still make I still need to send those to you, but if they could make the auto turn runs work without any issue and essentially get us another parking space back. That was our preference because we are taking so much parking in a pretty high use area. So I'll forward that all to you, but there shouldn't be any impact to the ability to make those runs. So we essentially just tried to strike that balance between keeping as much parking as possible while still making sure that you guys had room. So I think we
Okay,
might have
I
given
still
10
have
feet there.
concerns about that, as you know, about making that maneuver.
Yep.
And this makes it more concerning. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and through the chair, I'll add for the assistant chief that curb lines are always harder to move if it turns out that we've agreed to do tests before we add bollards or finalize any of this. If it turns out that we do need to take another parking space or two, that's an easy enough thing to decide as we're in the construction process and can come back to the commission to seek approval for additional parking removal. That wouldn't have a fundamental impact on our ability to keep moving forward with this project if that relieves any concerns.
Jill, you're mute. You're muted.
Yes, go for it. Yeah.
Okay. More of a comment really, Adam, through you, Chief Lathan, to Adam. This is really great and long overdue. This is like a deeply unsafe area. As a frequent Union Square Donuts patron, and Reliable Market patron, if I'm like walking from Reliable Market, like you're right, there's literally nowhere to cross currently. And the traffic just keeps coming because like that light cycle with like the greens that come up it's really long. So like you can't even like get a break, and you're basically asking people to stop for you. It's definitely a really narrow space. There currently isn't anywhere to sit. You have to like sit on the steps of the church if you want to like enjoy your donuts. And this is just such a heavy pedestrian traffic place in addition to basically being car choked right now. And there's just not a lot of visibility if you are darting across the street because there's cars parked. So basically, I guess gushing aside, I think this is a long overdue enhancement to this business and pedestrian thick area. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Can I get a motion to accept or deny item number 6, please?
I'll make the motion to accept.
Can I get a second? Anyone?
Second.
Can I get a roll call vote to accept item number 6, A, B, C, D, and E, please?
Yes. Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Counselor Said,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Raimel,
Yes.
Assistant Chief Tierney,
No,
and that's 4 yes, 1 no, and the motion carries.
Moving on to item 7, Washington Street at Merriam Street, A, B, C, and D. Adam?
Through the chair. We can pick up where we left off in my presentation.
Excuse me, just a moment. I just want to say that I have to leave for the council meeting. Yeah, nice evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Counselor.
Thank you. Okay, through the chair, I'll continue on here. So Washington at Merriam is up next. This one is another one that has been in the works for a while. Another one that we've been going back and forth. Sean and I have been going back and forth on a lot, and believe we're in a good place there. So the overview here is that similar to Bow at Walnut, there are currently no crosswalks in the vicinity of Merriam Street, Washington Terrace, the public safety building. And that's something that we've been hearing about for a good portion of the time that I've been with the city, which is going on 10 years at this point. And so this seemed like a really obvious candidate to try and make improvements to the pedestrian experience and add some crosswalks here. So that was the genesis of this project. And similar to Bow Street, we believe that in general, doing things like building curb extensions, creating raised crosswalks and raised intersections are the safest way to achieve new paths of pedestrian travel. So that's what you see on the left side of the page here. In purple is a raised intersection. The 2 crosswalks that are shown across Washington Street at Merriam Street are brand new. Those do not exist today. And then we have some curb extensions as well to essentially show where the protected bike lanes end, and then give pedestrians a little bit more space to cross the street, and just sort of tighten that up a bit. And then we have made some changes to the west side of the intersection based on feedback from fire to make sure that there was as much space to try and find that balance and make sure there was as much space as possible to give maneuverability for them and ensure that cars could get out of the way in case of an emergency. So as you work your way, one other thing I'll mention, if you're sort of reading the call outs here, is that there is an opportunity for plantings and shrubbery, etc. We're trying not to put trees right in the middle of intersections because of visibility concerns, but we can put some grasses or shrubbery in some of these new curb extension features, which is something that's often very popular with our residents. And I think we can all agree just makes our streets look nicer. So moving east towards the right of the page, there are already protected bike lanes along this section. We are just sort of redistributing. The buffer's bigger on one side unnecessarily. And so we are just redistributing some of the cross section here to make that a more balanced buffer. When we go and do that and repave this section of street, we will also be adding precast concrete curb separators for the bike lane on the non-parking side. So we're going to be testing out a new product in Somerville, essentially parking stops in the bike lane, in the buffer next to the bike lane. To again really emphasize that people should not be driving in that area. So that's that darker green color there. As we were going through this project and figuring out our scope, we also realized that there was a crosswalk that we also get a lot of concerns regarding, which is across Washington at Rossmore Street. And so that, which currently just has pedestrian signs, and I believe they might be blinking. Our intention is to also raise that and make sure that we improve compliance there to the degree we can and really slow vehicles down so they stop for people crossing the street. Because there are currently 2 bus stops on Washington Street at Washington Terrace and Merriam Street, and we realized that those stops were going to be challenging to preserve and were also really close to other stops in the Union Square area. We are proposing to remove both of those stops and consolidate them. One is just going to go away on the north side, and the resulting spacing heading westbound will be fine to allow the stops before it and after it to be the only 2 in that segment. In the eastbound direction, the one at Merriam will be removed. The one closest to McGrath High will be removed, and those will be consolidated into one stop shown in yellow here, just far side of Rossmore Street. And then lastly, we will be adding a new accessible space here as well. There is not one here in this area today. So we're trying to keep it close to the crosswalk, again, to improve accessibility and make it as easy for anyone using that space as possible. And there will also be a ramp built on the sidewalk when we redo these sidewalks to make sure that that works. So that's the overview there. Here is the lay of the land in terms of existing curb regulations. Everything in red is where there's currently no parking at this time, anytime in those areas, whether because it's close to an intersection or because of existing infrastructure like bike facilities or driveways, etc. So you can see there's a lot of that here. I've highlighted the handful of bus stops in yellow. There is some authorized vehicle parking for police vehicles on the left side. In front of New Kitchen, we've got metered parking and 15-minute parking. We've got a little bit of 2-hour except by permit in front of the couple of businesses there, closer to Mansfield Street. And then we've got a loading zone and metered parking on McGrath Highway on the north side there as well. So our request for you all and what we're intending to change for those regulations as part of this project. For the parking that is in front of New Kitchen, our request is to convert what is currently 95 feet, I believe it's 5 meters of metered parking, and 100 feet of 15-minute parking to 25 feet of accessible parking, the one space I just described to you all, and then 110 feet of loading zone. 110 feet of parking that will be a loading zone from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then metered parking from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m., which is based on our understanding of the needs of the businesses in that area and trying to find a balance for some of the short-term pickup and more delivery style activities in the morning, and then maybe the longer term customer parking that would happen later in the day. The other 3 requests are all associated with the bus stops. So as I mentioned on the left side, we will be removing the 2 stops closest to Merriam Street and Washington Terrace. And then we will be essentially relocating the stop that is currently over by McGrath Highway in the eastbound direction to Washington Street at Rossmore Street. And then now overlaying the existing regulations with what I've just put in our proposal results in the following map essentially of what we are proposing to have in the final condition for this block. And then here are the associated requests to round out this segment of the presentation.
Do you have any discussion from the committee? Questions? Yes, Selena.
Quick question, through you, Chair Lathan. The accessible spot is going to be abutting the bike lane. Do you have a plan is that going to be painted blue or otherwise protected? You know, I think you did that somewhere else. I just didn't see that here and figured you would be, but wanted to ask anyway.
Through the chair, yes, Lena, it's a little hard to see because I started overlaying semi-transparent colors to try and make it clear what was where. But yes, that will be blue alongside the accessible space in the bike lane. That is now our standard for that type of treatment. There is a symbol in the space as well, which you can see. And it will be slightly narrower. It's hard to tell, but it is slightly narrower, the bike lane in that segment as well, to really just emphasize that there's something different going on there for anyone biking by.
Okay, thank you. And then just a quick comment, very similar to the Bow Market situation. We used to meet a lot at the police station, as you know, and meet at New Cafe afterwards. And because of that turn coming off of where Ricky's Flower Mart is, that's like extra dangerous because people can't see you and you're also like quote unquote jaywalking anyway. So yeah, that needs to be there. Thanks.
Okay. Any more discussion? Questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion to accept or deny item number 7, please?
I'll make a motion to accept.
All right. Mr. Taney, please. Nada? Can I get a second? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Can I get a second? No second to accept? Well, this is, Jackie, what are we doing? Do we have no motion to, no second to accept the motion?
Yeah, so I think if we have no second to this, unless someone's gonna make a different motion, I think there's no action taken.
Okay, no action, so. Okay, so do I need a motion to deny item number 7?
Yes.
Okay, can I get a motion to deny item number 7?
I'll make a
Take
motion
a
to
step back, help
deny.
me understand. Okay, so we have a motion to deny item number 7. Can I get a second to deny item number 7? A second.
Second.
All right. Can I get a roll call? Okay, any questions? Right, procedurally, am I on target?
Yes, so we have a motion to deny number 7, which was made by Assistant Chief Tierney and seconded by Lieutenant Rymel.
Now, I'm going to move to a roll call vote to deny, reject item number 7, Washington Street and Merriam Street, A, B, C, and D.
Yes. Chair Lathan?
Can you come back to me for a minute? I need to refresh myself on something.
Who's next? Lena Webb?
No.
Lieutenant Rymel?
Yes.
Assistant Chief Tierney?
Yes.
Chair Lathan?
Yes.
And so that's 3 yes, 1 no, so the motion to deny carries.
Alrighty, moving on to item number 8. Somerville Ave at Central Street. A, regarding the curb on the north side of Somerville Ave from 100 feet to 195 feet west of Central Street between 55-1 and 55-9 Somerville Ave. Request to convert 90 feet of 2-hour parking except by permit to no parking at any time.
All right, through the chair. So our last item here, Somerville Ave at Central Street. Okay. Sorry, just trying to collect myself. We have some problems now that last one didn't carry. So Somerville Ave at Central Street. Floating bus stops are intended to be built on Somerville Ave at Conway Park and Central Street. The location of the stops will really not be shifting substantially in any case. We will be also building a raised crosswalk. So similar to the other two items, this really was focused on pedestrian safety, and this is a crosswalk. Again, we hear a lot about, and there's just a lot of traffic and not a really safe and comfortable way to cross the street. So our intention is to create a raised crosswalk on Somerville Ave across Central Street, pair that with the floating bus stop and curb extensions in the vicinity of Central Street, raise the bike lane on the south side, the eastbound side of Somerville Ave, between Beach Street and Central Street, and then throw in some flex posts and create a protected bike lane between Central Street and Beach Street heading westbound as well. We also have a curb extension down by Park Street where we'll be slightly increasing the radius of that corner, and then adding a refuge island and a curb extension to slow down right turns onto Central Street from Somerville Ave heading westbound as well.
Thank you. Discussion on this item.
Sorry, I was just waiting for Jackie to switch slides. I have a couple more if that's okay. So in this case, there is already a lot less parking existing. You can see there's a lot more red, a lot more no parking anytime. This is a much more highly trafficked area, and so there are more things like turn lanes, bike lanes already. So there's a couple of bus stops that we're discussing here. There's some metered parking on Central Street. There's some 2-hour parking on Beach Street, and then the one item for Central Street here is related to the 2-hour, or sorry, for Somerville Ave is related to that 2-hour parking on Somerville Ave. And as you can see in pink, our proposal is to convert that 2-hour parking to no parking anytime to be able to provide all the facilities that I've just gone through. Also note that in gray, the bus stop is shifting a little bit west, but there are no curb impacts. So the item that we're discussing, we're bringing to you all is in pink. And then here is the final proposed curb regulations. And then, yeah, that's all I've got. Just the one item at the end there.
Great. I want to make sure I didn't jump the gun on this one. Discussion. Hearing none, can I get a motion to accept or reject item number 8?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Do we have a second?
Sorry, I was on mute. Second.
Okay. Can I get a roll call vote to accept item number 8, please?
Yes. Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Lieutenant Reimel,
Yes.
Assistant Chief Tierney. Sorry, Chief, could you repeat that? It didn't come through.
Yes.
Thank you. And that's 4 yes, and the motion carries.
Wonderful. Seeing no other items on the agenda, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Yep.
Now we have discussed, thank you, Adam. We discussed
Yep.
recess, taking a recess from these traffic commission meetings. Are we all on the same page what that means for these meetings for the summer?
No,
Yes.
just no meetings. Wait, yeah, please clarify.
Go ahead, Jack. We had discussed having a recess and not doing, meetings for July and August.
Yes. So last year we didn't hold meetings in July and August, so that proposal has been generated again. And then I think typically it's at the discretion of the chair.
I have a question.
Yes.
does that, so I know like from today, we learned that some things are time sensitive, like the grant proposal thing that Mark brought up is is not having these meetings, these 2 meetings going to mess up projects like that need approval? Just curious how that works. Because we usually have something every month, right?
Definitely, we didn't last summer. We started this last summer. My thoughts on this is that my expectation is that people are doing their due diligence through the year and that they are really making sure that things are time sensitive, that they are on top of it, that they are, submitting their proposals appropriately. And that, we're not having one-off meetings for 1 or 2 items in July and August because there was due diligence that didn't occur. So
I can't believe I don't remember that. I was definitely here last year. Did you get any feedback from groups like in the city? Like was there any issue that you heard of? Because I don't remember anything apparently.
I don't recall any issues. I mean, I think there was some questions, so my expectation is that people are doing their due diligence throughout the year. And that we, when we were having the summer, I think the summer before that, I think we had a meeting, it was 1 item in July. It seemed to be a procrastination versus actual the need for a meeting in the summertime.
Through the
I-
chair, can I chime in on this real quick? Because I think, I don't know if this should be coming from me, but I think it sounds like we may be
Actually,
close to
time out,
making a
Adam. This is
decision,
not,
so.
time out. This is not an open discussion.
Okay.
This is between me and my committee. So that's where we're kind of heading on this for July and August. So, committee members, any other thoughts on this? So, Jackie, has this been communicated to departments as it was last summer yet, or where are we at with that?
It has. I guess the only thing I would note, just from a secretary perspective, just because I'm the one that gets the applications, the only kind of caveat I could think of that's a little outside the norm of like project planning is the accessible parking space applications from residents. Those we can't really predict when or how many will come in. And those are kind of just dependent on, residents' needs that aren't identified until we receive the application from them. And sometimes that waiting period then, because we don't install them until they're approved by traffic commission and then legally advertised, can sometimes lead to a delay in, could be a few months. But again, we can't predict that I don't think last summer it was an issue. We just didn't end up receiving any. It's just hard to predict, we receive them when we receive them. So that might just be the only thing I would kind of offer as separate from project planning.
Okay.
Okay, I have one more little comment then. I just where I'm at, I don't mind, especially if it's like one thing, I mean, this is a long meeting, this is unusual, but I guess I like you guys too much. I'm fine to, have like a 1 item situation. We're in and out sometimes in under 10 minutes. And if there is delay, my only concern is just delaying that. And my role feels like to move these things forward on this committee. And I don't mind, a quick visit with you guys. So I personally am, fine to continue to meet. I don't know if I have to phrase it, I'm against a recess or whatever, but
Oh, no.
yeah. So that's
Commission should be
that's my
your-
2 cents.
Yes. That's why I brought it up to the committee. Lieutenant Rhino or Deputy Chief, any thoughts?
I really can't say yes or no because I'm retiring in a month. So I don't think I'm going to be.
Congratulations.
I don't think I'm going to be here either way. But if you do decide to have one in July, I'm not officially leaving to the end of July, so I'm open to anything. If you want to have one, I can do it. I don't need the summer off.
Well, now I feel like we have to. It can't be goodbye now.
Deputy Chief?
I'm open to whatever the majority.
I would make a motion to have it, if I have any say in the matter, to have at least a July one, and then we can discuss possibly the August one. Just in case there's some things floating around there that we want to tidy up and get more info on, especially some of the items that we looks like we need some more information on some of the items too. So maybe by then they'd be presented to us so we can go in a different direction.
Well, like you said, Jack, it's a discussion of the chair.
Yes.
Right, well, let me give this some thought and have y'all's feedback, and I'll get back to you guys. Appreciate it so much.
Sounds
All right,
good.
can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Okay,
I'll make a
motion
motion.
to adjourn,
Oop.
possibly
Can
for
I
the
get a-
last,
Yeah,
can I
I'll give
get
it to Lieutenant Reimel.
possibly for the
Can
last
I get a
time.
second?
I'll second.
Cool. A roll call vote to adjourn the meeting, please.
Yes. Lieutenant Reimel, I'm going to toss it to you first in honor of your potential last meeting.
All right, motion to adjourn. I'm like-
Chair Lee?
I'm with leader. I don't really want to say goodbye, but I have to.
Yes. So Lieutenant Reimel,
Yes.
Chair Lathan,
Yes.
Lena Webb,
Yes.
Assistant Chief Tierney,
Yes.
and that's 4 yes, and the motion to adjourn carries.
In case this is the last one for the summer, Lieutenant Marmol, you want to end this well?
It was an honor to be on your committee for the last 3 years. Thank you for having me. Hope I had some positive input.
What do I always say when I end? You always say it.
Are you going to sing it or are you just going to say
I
it?
was gonna say you're gonna say it, so you can say it.
Groovy tunes, baby.
Awesome.
Okay, talk to you guys. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Congrats again.
All right, bye-bye.